just the way that we greet each other. You know, I love when a guy called me queen. I love that. He's like, I'm sorry, queen. I'm sorry, my bad. Like it's just embracing, it's uplifting, it makes you feel good as a person versus being called another name that you don't want to be called. Like and especially as girls, we get called like bitches and whores and things like that, you know, just even in music. And I just feel like even as girls, we call men niggas, you know, and I just feel like we should really start embracing each other and speaking to each other with respect. You're not going to walk up to another person of a different race and call them that, you know, like, no, you're going to be like, hey, like, no, we should really treat each other how we treat other races, that we feel like we obligated to respect them. Feel obligated to respect your own kind. I mean,
Two, one.
wait, what I'm um, my name is Andria Sabree, and I'm from Philadelphia. What I do creatively is I sing, songwrite, and dance. And I dabble in a couple of other things, but it's like not my main focus. Music is a big focus of mine. I love music a lot. I love singing. I love the whole creative aspect of it. I can't produce, but I do listen to like beats and instruments, and I can just hear the layers layering over the music and just how everything come together to create a beat. And then going in as a singer to sing over top of the beat, but you're not just singing over top of the beat, you're actually blending like your voice and your melodies with the songs. And I think that's what really interests me. It was just something that's different. And a lot of people who aren't artists, they don't understand that aspect. I can hear like a drum, or I can hear like a saxophone, or I can hear a piano in a beat somewhere that's like a really low layer in the beat, but you can still hear it because, I mean, as an artist, that's what you grab onto. And when you're creating a song, you're making melodies. You're trying to figure out what sounds right, what blends well, what your voice can get hip to. And then once you find the melody, you find the words, of course. And once you find the words, and then you have like a song. And I think that's what keep me motivated in music. And it's just like a lot of artists are really just expressing themselves. A lot of times this world is just crazy. And it's just like your getaway. It's like, I just want to do some music. I want to go to the studio and dance. We have a lot of pop-up classes in Philly. We're starting to. We didn't really have that. Just like places like Atlanta and LA was big on that. Now Philly is. And I think it's great. We have like artists come into town and teach. And I go to those classes. I'm not the greatest. I'm not the greatest dancer in the world, but you know, I push hard in those classes because that's something that I want. And I feel like the more you push and the more that you take on to whatever you want to do creatively, like you can do it. You don't have to train young, or you don't have to be involved in it so long. I've seen people just dance for a year and they're on stage. Like I know a couple people that even dance with Beyonce or Nicki Minaj, or, you know, just big artists, and only dance for a year. So, you know, that's what keeps me pushing in that aspect, because it's people who haven't trained, but they do such an amazing job, and you just feel it. You know, you just feel it, and just every aspect of that creativeness, from singing, songwriting, dancing, I feel it like inside of me, like to come out and bring like my personality out. Um, my family dynamic is crazy. On my mom's side, I'm the oldest. I have three little sisters and a little brother. Well, they're not little, but they are considered little to me because I'm the oldest. And then she's married to my stepdad, and he has two children. I'm sorry, three children as well. So it's a lot of us. And on my dad's side, I have a lot of siblings. I have altogether with me included 14, 15. I'm the third to the youngest. So on my dad's side, I'm kind of like the baby. I was the baby until my dad decided to date again. And then I wasn't the baby anymore, so I'm kind of jealous about that. Because I'm the oldest on my mom's side, so it's kind of like, difficult. You be on one side and you're the oldest, and you go to my dad's house and it's like, now I'm not the baby no more. So I'm like kind of like the middle child, or I wouldn't necessarily say the middle because it's a lot of us. A lot of my inspiration come from both my parents, actually. Music-wise, it comes from my dad. When I was younger, we moved over by Thompson Street in North Philly, and he had a little studio set up in a garage. And he would just play on the piano. He would record. It wasn't like a big setup, like a mic or anything like spectacular, but he would just play around with it, and I would just sing a little bit. I would just be in the studio with him, and I would just be walking around singing. And we moved to my grandma's house, which was on North Street, and he set up a whole studio in the basement, like a whole booth. He started getting a little bit more advanced, playing the piano, guitar, drums, producing, recording, and I just fell in love with music. My mom made me a very strong individual. She taught me how to survive when I have like nothing. I'll make nothing into something. She taught me, as far as like my mindset, just to think about stuff, or if I don't know something, research it. She always had me reading books, so I read a lot of books. And she just gave me that intellectual side of me without realizing that that's a key element that she was giving me, just to make me smart in a real world, where a lot of people aren't very too hip to a lot of things that go on. And my dad gives me that dynamic of like, I'm real like pro-black, and my dad gave me that dynamic. Just as far as embracing cultures, his background is Caribbean and of course American. But my great-grandmom, she had came over from the islands. She came to America. She had my grandmom, and so forth. The family came. And then he just started digging deeper, because a lot of Caribbean people don't realize, but we come from Africa. And he just started digging deep on that side, and I started researching it a lot. So I have a big dynamic from my family, and probably more than what I'm talking about, but that's just a little bit of me. That was a long explanation. With school, I've been to a lot of schools because we moved a lot with my mom. One thing I know that she strived for us to have like better education than her. And especially growing up with my mom was born in right in the beginning of the 70s. So around that time, we were just as Black people really beginning to have like rights as Black people and being able to go to school, integrated schools, and just being a part of society. And she moved from North Carolina. My grandparents moved her to Philadelphia. And she didn't have like the best education from school, just because of how the systems were set up. So, living in North Philly, going to school in North Philly, I went to Dunbar and I went to Clymer. Dunbar, I think, is like a high school now, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what Clymer is. I haven't looked into it. But after that, she moved us. Well, we were still living in North Philly. I'm sorry. We were still living in North Philly, but I started going to school in Southwest, Penrose. And I would get on the bus to go to school. My mom would, and my mom was a single parent, so she was working. So she would just take us to the bus stop. She would have me and my little sister get on the bus, and we would go to school. She would call the school and be like, "Are they there? Are they okay? Can you put my kids on the phone? Let me talk to my kids." So that dynamic of growing up taught me a lot. It taught me a lot, and it taught me to be strong. I mean, my mom was 2, 3 kids doing it all on her own and striving for us to have the best education. And I never realized it growing up. No, I was just so mad at her, like, why I have to go here and why I have to go here. And then it was really for the better of me, to make me a better person than, what she felt like she was, even though I feel like she's like the greatest person in the world. But moving to the suburbs, which is Delaware County, I started going to school out there, and it's definitely different from Philadelphia School District. The education is far more advanced, so I was a little behind starting in Delaware County compared to a lot of kids. Then catching up, I started having like a big dynamic of schoolwork and education. What changed my mindset a lot was I started going to school with different cultures of people, white, African, Indian, Jamaican, anything you can name, I was in school with. I think that definitely kept me cultured because I learned so much, especially from like African students, because what they portray to us on TV is huts and dirt and poor and no food. And speaking with these kids, you started seeing that Africa is literally like Philadelphia, literally. And they live the same lifestyle that we live, just in a different area. And you start learning about the culture in different continents, and you start learning about different languages, and they were colonized, and this is why they have certain set standards and the way that they grow up. And then you have like your Indian friends where you learn their culture and their different foods and things like that. So I think that really helped me develop as a person to have that open opportunity. I always like to say I got balance. I got like a little hood, and then I got a little class. So, and I'm happy for my mom doing that for me, because it just helped me see the world different. I get to see the world in so many different aspects that a lot of people don't have that opportunity. They can't say that they lived in a hood and then they moved to the suburbs and they got to have a feel for both and they understand both sides of the spectrum. They could only say I lived in the suburbs or I lived in the hood. And I thank my mom for that a lot. Inspiration comes from a lot of different angles. um, my inspiration comes from my mom, my dad, artists, movies that I've watched, that I actually exposed myself to that like my mom didn't, because she's a real churchy person. So we was always at church 7 days out of the week, literally. But my mom inspired me a lot because she showed me that anything I want to do, I can do. I mean, my mom stopped school at 16, and she showed me that you can go above and beyond. I mean, she worked in corporate businesses and was like the top person there, working. And it just showed me that, I mean, education is great. And I'm not telling nobody not to get an education. But it just showed me that, as far as you researching and you learning on your own and you researching on your own, you definitely can go above and beyond any measurements that America tell you that you can be. And my mom did that, especially as a Black woman, a single mom, and just really pushing hard. My dad, I would say, is inspirational. I mean, he was in and out of my life, but he's inspirational because of music. He introduced me to another side of music that I've never experienced because my mom wouldn't allow me to. Just looking at him play the piano, seeing how in tune he was, playing the drums, the guitar, my uncle, he sings. And then he had his son playing the drums at church. And, just being around that creativeness definitely inspired me, definitely made me happy. Just, growing up in that environment. It just gave me a different aspect of life, and I was just really excited to um, see that. It was just really like, wow, like this is another part of life that I haven't really reached yet. And my mom found out, about me singing down my dad's house, and she's like, "Oh, you're too young. You need to get your education," because she was big on education. I mean, she couldn't really have the access that she was giving me, and I respect her for that now because I never understood. But she had me in school, so she said, "You can do drill team, you can do dance steps, and you can, be a cheerleader and things like that. But as far as like singing and stuff, no, because you need to get your education. Whatever you do outside my house, that's fine. But while you in my house, you're gonna get an education." So that helped me actually find the love for dance. That was my inspiration actually behind dance. My mom didn't allow me to do music, so I was like, all right, well, I got another outlet. I can do drill team and cheerleading, and I could be on like dance teams and, do stuff like that, since she allowed me to do that, and that gave me inspiration to that. Outside of my parents, my inspiration comes from nostalgic movies like Love Jones. I could say I'm like a hopeless romantic sometimes. Love Jones just give me like, I don't know, it's this feeling, just the beginning of the movie of how it just embraces and embody Black people, the culture, just regular people walking on the street, and just how they embody her being a photographer and, him being a poet. It was just like a creative love story. It was just beautiful to me, and it was like, wow. And just listening to his confidence, in the beginning of the movie, and he's saying his poem, it was just like, wow, it's so captivating. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like that. I want to be captivating. I want people to be into me how I'm into movies and how I'm into artists. Even looking at Beyonce, because I love Beyonce. I love, love, love Beyonce, okay? If she ever see this, girl, I love you. But she's so dedicated to her work, and a lot of people discredit her, but she works hard. She wants to give you a show. She wants her fans to be excited about what she do. She takes time in her craft. It's very essential to her. It's very vital. And I love artists that shows that, because it's like, I don't care what you say. My fans love this. My fans want this. And I'm going to give it to them. And I'm going to work hard for it, because it's not easy being an artist at all. You go through so many different changes. You go through so many different dynamics. You doubt yourself. You don't believe in yourself. Then you believe in yourself. Then you find something. You don't find something. Things come to you. Things don't come to you. And it's a very, very long journey. It's very long. But when you love it, it's worth it. It's worth it, for sure. Um, as a creative, I wouldn't necessarily say it's easier to talk to other races, more easier. I mean, of course, when you're in a studio and you have like a producer that's, of course, not, not Black, it's just a different bond that you guys create, of course, in the studio. When it comes to the business aspect of music, I do kind of believe that Black people are the start of everything. When it comes to creativeness, sounds, melody, dance steps, I mean, everything that we do, I just feel like is, of course, amazing. And I'm not talking down on any other race, because that's just not the person that I am. But I just noticed the creativity that we as a whole bring forth to this world. I mean, we're like the biggest inspiration, to be honest. Now, having a meeting with someone in regards to like getting a deal versus being in a corporate environment, trying to move up in the corporate ladder is definitely different. Because at this point, I can make you money, as a creative. As a corporate person, I'm allowing you to get ahead in a world where I feel personally that they don't want us to achieve. With music or just being creative, you have limitations as a creative. You have people to go through. You have lawyers to talk to. You have so many different aspects as a artist that you have to go through, whereas though you can only go but so far. It's this one line in 21 Savage new album that he said, "You really think this game is a mill, but it's 100,000." Like, they literally make so much money off of artists that the artists never get to see that much money. And a lot of people think that we do, but we don't. I mean, to be honest, in order to make money in this business, you have to spend it. You have to spend it. And if you don't have it, that's where they get us, It's like, oh, you don't have the money, but you really want to do this? Okay, well, I mean, you can do this, or we can, talk about this, or we can, weigh these options out. And then that's where, as though you get into it, and that's where you start owing people, and you start, getting into that whole side of things. So would I say is easier on that side of things? No. I'd say anything or any direction you go into life is not going to be easy. It's just definitely not, especially being Black. It's a battle. It's a fight that you have to go through, and especially me as a Black woman in America. It's hard because not only I'm a woman, and women, we have fought for our rights, but in some aspects we're still not respected. I'm Black too. So, I mean, that's an even bigger barrier that I have to go through being a creative. So I would say it's both sides have his parts. Yeah. I feel like the message with our people, with a lot of things that we're being taught, especially from music to outside of music, is to buy into every other race but ours. And I think music was a big start of that, and I say that because designers learn to collab with artists so that it can look glamorized and you can buy into them, Tommy Hilfiger, collab with rappers, urban artists, and notice that he collab with them. We'll see the glamorized artists, and of course, we'll want to look like them, And how I really feel about it is like, I feel like we should teach people to be themselves. If you're ever around me, I mean, I know I'm like super glam right now, but if you're around me, I'm just real chill. I'm real chill. I'm real about my people. I'm real about spending. If I go to a restaurant, I'm gonna make sure it's Black owned. I'm getting me some Black owned food. I'm not gonna go to a place that sells what we cook and get the generic version when I can go to the authentic version and buy it. And I just feel like it can be a downfall with us because we don't feel like it's the greater quality of it just because it's not, of color. It's not of color, so it's like, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and buy that. Like, no, support your neighborhood. Support your neighborhood. And I think as artists, we should embrace that. We should embrace that. Like, if you ever go like onto my page and you look at like my Instagram, my stories, I'm literally like giving facts. I'm literally, speaking out, even like on my Twitter. Like, a lot of people tell me like, you're so controversial. You always saying something that people aren't expecting you to say. And it's like, yeah, because you have to. You have to, because if I don't say it, nobody else is going to say it. So I got to say it. And I got to make it known. And I just think it's just good for us to buy into each other. I think it's good for us to support each other. I think it's good for us to love each other. It's the only way we can really succeed as people. For us to just really be into, like, don't talk down on people, I don't like that. Or just sometimes just the way that we greet each other. You know, I love when a guy called me queen. I love that. He's like, I'm sorry, queen. I'm sorry, my bad. Like it's just embracing, it's uplifting, it makes you feel good as a person versus being called another name that you don't want to be called. Like and especially as girls, we get called like bitches and whores and things like that. You know, just even in music. And I just feel like even as girls, we call men niggas, you know, and I just feel like we should really start embracing each other and speaking to each other with respect. You're not going to walk up to another person of a different race and call them that, you know, like, no, you're going to be like, hey, like, no, we should really treat each other how we treat other races, that we feel like we obligated to respect them. Feel obligated to respect your own kind. I mean, we're human just like them. Like, don't try to fit in with people who don't want you to fit in with them. Fit in with the people who want you to fit in with them. Gravitate towards the people who want to gravitate towards you. Because that's what matters. And that, I feel like that's what's going to make you as a person successful. Because you're your own person and you believe in your beliefs and not what somebody is selling you, you know? And me as an artist, I don't want nobody to look at me and say, oh, I want to buy into her because, you know, she's doing X, Y, and Z. No, love me for me being me, but also love you for you being you. You know, don't take me as an example of a person that you're just going to, you know, imitate. Be your own self and love yourself. And I mean, of course, love me too. Okay. Yeah, but I'm just, you know, growing up in that dynamic of knowing the background of my mom and, you know, my grandma, my grandpa, is crazy. It's so crazy because you're just like, wow, like these people really treated us this way. They really put us through this. And for them to be down south, whereas those, of course, super racist, and then moving up to, you know, north, you know, Philly, and trying to make a better life, you know, for their children. And my grandpa was on like the run. He's supposed to be getting locked up, but just being a part of that dynamic. And then my dad really going on his, he works at, I think it's 900 AM radio station, and started digging into like the African side of things, learning about that. That made me learn myself, you know, it made me dig deep. And my mom, she used to always say, I don't see no color, I don't see no color. And she only said that because of us being, you know, biracial. Being biracial, it's kind of hard for you to pick because it's like I have part of this in me, but I also have part of this. So I don't see it, you know, completely until my mom actually got into a situation where though she did start seeing it and she started understanding, and it's like, yeah, I told you. So, I mean, you learn. You learn. Favorite artist is definitely Beyonce. I respect her a lot. I feel like it's just so many different avenues I can go with how I respect her, but for sure, how she works. She works very hard. 11-hour rehearsals, that is intense. And she performs on stage for 2 hours with heels on. If you are a woman, you know how painful it is to even stand for like 30 minutes. You're like, oh, I need to sit down. You want to, because a lot of girls, you know, guys be like, oh, she want to be in a section to look cool. No, I want to be in a section to look cool, but I want to be in a section to also sit down. So I definitely commend her for that, to, you know, do that. And she brings to the platform what she did with Coachella, with Black colleges. She's showing us more. I mean, that was a whole white crowd, essentially. I mean, of course, Black people come, but they didn't know nothing about HBCUs. And she just brought that dynamic from sororities, fraternities, bands, making that live, giving that live performance to shed light on just Black culture. And she constantly does that, her and her husband, with Lemonade. Lemonade is such a great album, and the in depths of it is really showing women to be strong, black women to be strong. And 444 with Jay-Z, he's my favorite rapper. I know, my two faves together, isn't that amazing? Yeah. But he just elaborates too in that, teaching you, you know, take what they give us and make your neighborhood better. And I respect artists like that, because not only are you giving us great music and you giving us a great show, but you're also telling me to love the skin I am in, telling me to go for whatever I want to go for, telling me that I can do whatever I want to do, giving me a step to become, a better person than what I am, unlearning the stuff that they taught us and relearning, new things, I think is essential. So, I mean, that's why I really love her. And it made me love her even more, just seeing her take that platform that she has to shed light and make me feel comfortable in my skin as the person that I am. That's important. It's very important, especially, growing up in this world. I do have artists outside of like Beyonce that I do love. And I would say Sister Soldier. She's a book writer. I love, 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 love her books. Of course, everybody read, or I hope everybody read The Coldest Winter. That book brought me into urban books. Just the way she spoke about it. Even Omar Tyree with Fly Girl. Those type of artists made me love reading. They put the aspects of living in the neighborhoods that we lived in and put it in a book. You're reading like the story that you actually lived, And I just thought that was pretty cool, because it wasn't only I could read it, but like every race could read it, to see what we go through, how we come up, as people. I think majority of my inspiration, especially now becoming older, a lot of my inspiration comes from being Black. Just loving the skin that I am in, and also just loving, my culture. I want to be more into it, want to embrace it more, wanting to inspire that side more, and, teach myself because they're not going to teach us, and just my favorite artists still happen to teach me too, so that's even great. So that definitely is the reason why those people that I named are like favorite artists of mine, because they gave me power and inspiration, not just musically or creatively writing, but overall as a person, in the circumstances that we live in. I think from being younger and seeing certain like images and videos, things that I remember that really had an impact on like who I am today, especially being like pro-Black, is just learning about like slavery. I think when I seen like those pictures and I seen those videos, especially of like water holes being sprayed, bruising and killing, and dogs with police and locking them up for, marching for their rights. I think that stuck in my head, to be like, we can't live like this. And I solely say that to say, I mean, I felt that pain. I wasn't there, but it's like you could feel that pain. It's hard to watch that. It's hard to see that, because it's like, wow, like they really hated us. Like they really hated us for no reason, just because my skin was darker and my hair was a little thicker, and my shape was different. I was just different, and I was hated for that. And I think that stuck with me, because it was like I refuse to let anyone make me feel less of a person because of what I was, born into. I can't help what God created. I can't help the genetics that I have. I can't help my skin being the color that it is, I can't help me as a person. It's just something that was just given to me, you know? And I just feel like as people, we should be treated fair. And just seeing how loving our culture is amazing, because they went through that and they still turned around and they were still kind. They still said hello. They still had manners. They still respected their peers. And it was like, wow, you can endure that type of pain and still turn around and still have respect and still, you know, carry on. And I think that impacted me a lot, to teach me like, man, no matter what situation you get into, no matter what storm you have, you could turn around, you could still be nice, and you could still carry on, and you could still, you know, do what you need to do as a person, you know. But I think that in itself, it was just like, wow. I think that's the most image or just videos that I could see and just be like, I can't believe that. I can't believe we went through that. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that. And I hope that people who see that that's not of color, I hope that brings something to their heart too, because, I mean, come on. Like, it's crazy. So crazy. Mm-mm. My most memorable dream is I lost my grandma when I was 15 on my dad's side. Me and my grandma was very close. She had a condition where she had gained weight uncontrollably. And she used to just sit in her room a lot because she couldn't really move a lot. And I would just be with her all the time. And she had passed away. And I had battled with that a lot, of losing her. And I had a dream and I saw her and we were like talking and she like disappeared. And then I couldn't wake up out of my sleep and I couldn't get up. I was like struggling to get up. And from there, I would have dreams like that. I can't remember the exact name that they call it, where you're like sleep but you're up. I can't remember the exact name of it, but then that's when those type of dreams started happening with me. So I go in and out of it, even till this day. I go in and out of it. So I learned how to actually cope with it by calming myself down in a dream and knowing that I am not awake. To get up. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was like a dream, more so like a nightmare, because it's scary. I don't ever want to go back to sleep every time it happens to me. I'm up. And after experiencing that, it just was traumatizing. And every time it happens to me, and I actually remember like my grandma every time it happens. So that's not something I really like. But yeah. When it comes to fear, I'm scared of not succeeding in what I'm breaking towards. That's literally my biggest fear. And not only for me, but for the people around me. I feel like I can be like a motivation for people to go into what they want to do, show them that they can go against the grain. So I try my hardest to strive towards my dreams because it's important to me to not only do it for myself, of course, but to do it for the people around me. We need that type of inspiration. We need that motivation. We need, not being cocky, but like people like me, you know, that want to see their friends grow, that want to see their family members succeed or get into a certain level of course I'm wealthy, you know, within like my mindset and my health conditions and just the environment around me. But as far as like career-wise wealthy, I want to show my family something that no one in my family has ever done, and that they can do it. My sisters, you know. So my biggest fear is not being able to accomplish that goal, because that's my main motivation, is to help people around me, to show them, you know, to guide them, to to make people mindsets be far greater than what they feel that they are. I think that's very essential. So it plays in my head every day, like, what can I do? What steps I got to take? What sacrifices I have to make? I made a couple of sacrifices just so I can get into the position that I want to be in. And, that's what it's about. And it's a scary road, but I need to get there. I love my community. I feel like it's so many things I can go with a sentence with music. Music is my life. Education is important. Educating yourself is important. Take ownership. Build ownership. Yeah. Love the people around you. Love yourself. Be proud of being black. Embrace being black. Black is beauty, for sure. Woman is powerful. Woman is of God. Woman is foundation. I want to say to people out there that you just have to strive towards what you want, and you can't let people tell you what you can't do. No matter age, color, race, whatever. No matter your circumstances, you can achieve it as long as you work towards it and put your heart into it. It's going to be people that don't believe in your vision. It's going to be people who tell you you can't do it. It's going to be people who just don't like you for whatever reason. You didn't do anything. Just be you. Enjoy being you. Love being you. Because being you brings people into you, the right people into you. You don't want to be something else to bring the wrong crowd around and you're not happy. You want to be you to bring the right people around you. You want to attract the people that are like you. You want minds that's like yours. You don't want to be artificial. Always try to be real, authentic, and inspire people. Always try to inspire people because we need it. That's what we're here for. We're here to inspire each other. We're here to help each other grow. We're here to make sure businesses grow. We're here to do whatever the world let us do. So, don't let nobody tell you that you can't do anything, because they're a liar. You can do whatever you want to do. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it's really real. Just go for it. Don't look back. And don't let nobody tell you no. Just keep going. I'm silly.